Hi Chris and Matthew, great to see you at the range the other day and take part in what was a very, very productive session, especially for you Matthew. So just a quick recap on the key points that we've covered. If I start with yourself first, Chris, we look at the swing initially and there's not a great deal of wrist cock going on there. We're lacking a little bit of power. It's an overall a much better movement than it was at the start of your sessions. You can see there's a sort of squeezing together of the elbows. The wrist angles don't really increase, which is something we worked on in your previous sessions, and as a result there's not a great deal of power in there. The basic movement's good, but we need to up the power a little bit. And what we talked about was the sequencing, or the components of a powerful backswing. What you're seeing in a good backswing is you're seeing a loading of the wrists, and the wrists work in that manner that you're seeing there. So if you will, the angle between the left arm and the shaft is approximately 135, let's say, with a 6 iron degrees at setup. So we've got an angle here of about 135 degrees, and then during the course of the backswing that needs to become 90 degrees. And the reason the backswing doesn't look like that is because as you're loading the wrists, you're also rotating the arms, which is another source of power. And then once you're rotating the arms, you're also getting the left arm to move nearer to the right shoulder, which is another creator of power. And we talked about the key position to check the swing in. When the left arm is parallel to the ground on the way back, we call that P3, position 3. We can see that there's a completely different look before and after. The reason you got it right, we used the analogy of a car. If you've got 4 cylinders, you were using maybe 2 at the start of your session, and you're now firing on all 4 cylinders because you're loading the power accumulators, if you will, much more effectively during the time and space of the backswing. Now then, Matt, with yourself, the thing we were seeing at the start of your session was still a player who's got the weight forward. That's fine, good little setup there, but then during the backswing the tendency was to gain a tremendous amount of height early, and then from there it's really difficult to get back to the golf ball. And what we talked about was that if you look how much your head's lifted, it's very similar to the amount the spine's straightened, and very similar to the difference between your shoulder turn at setup, your shoulder tilt at setup, and your shoulder tilt at the top. So all the gaps there tend to be very, very similar. So how do we get that in there? Well, the thing we talked about was we're trying to frame this very, very simply for you. Weight forward, left shoulder down, and the other thing we talked about was getting the ball opposite the badge on your shirt. So ball to badge, weight forward, so always operating left side of that cane, left shoulder down. We gave you the drill where we put the club across the shoulders and try to get the left shoulder, try to get the grip pointing at the golf ball, just to give you that feel of getting the left shoulder working down. And we then gave you the permission to straighten the right leg off, and this is what we end up with. Much better angles on the way back. You compare that to your initial swing. So left shoulder has worked down more. That's allowed you to maintain your forward tilt, which will get you back to the golf ball in a much more efficient manner. Hit some great shots, the pair of you, during the session. Can't wait to work with you again and see the progress over the coming months. Well done.